Yeah, I know. And that's when the banker said, "It's a knick-knack, Patty Jack. Give the frog alone."
Oh,
Womp,
then Principal
womp,
Prickly said, "That's not a
womp.
kindergartner. That's
Yeah.
my wife."
All right, guys. All right.
I
All
know.
right.
So as we get into this, it's lingering. It's constant.
Yes, like
Leave
a
the
silent
bad
but
taste in your
deadly
mouth.
fart in the daily aisle.
White noise, because so much has happened since this has happened. I mean, and I'm going to ask you about that, the Trump assassination attempt.
Oh yeah.
But
This
let's take it
second.
back.
This isn't an old episode.
2.0. Yeah. For those that are listening in on the conversation, yeah, they might think, what are they talking about? No, let's state the date. What? September 16th.
It's September 16th,
2024. That's where we
That's
are.
right.
Monday.
But white noise, and yet it's super important. What's your take on this? Lying about debate rules.
Oh yeah.
How exactly important is this culturally? I mean, I have a certain level that I think it just goes beyond the pale, and yet lying, the expectation of lying, it seems to be so prevalent, and that nobody's paying any attention to it. Yet there is a price to pay when culture, our culture, Western culture, American culture goes, oh, they all lie. It's okay.
Right.
And so take it from there.
Yeah, no, so there's a huge crisis of legitimation in really all the institutions in American life right now, but more so definitely with the government sector and with mainstream media particularly. And what I think is very hilarious is that they're basically the cause of all of their own problems.
Right.
Case in point, you have this debate that happened between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and now I believe an affidavit was just signed by a whistleblower inside of ABC that says, oh, actually, the Harris campaign had the questions, ahead of time, which is a huge scandal. And I think it's going to have far-reaching implications, second and third order effects on how we do, not necessarily like this election. I think it's not going to move the needle too much in this election because everybody watched it and they saw in real time, like just how blatantly biased those two moderators were. One was Lindsey Davis and David Muir. But I think it's going to have far-reaching implications on how we run presidential elections, in that, like, if you're a Republican candidate and you watch that, like, why would you ever go to the mainstream media and sit down for a moderated debate ever again?
All right, I see that hand.
They just took their reputation, wiped their butts with it, and then threw it away, cast it aside. And it was amazing to watch in real time. I actually tweeted out it was a response to somebody on Twitter that was saying like how amazing of a job Lindsey Davis did, and I replied to them and I said, well, it was pretty impressive to watch her completely beclown herself, trash the reputation of her entire organization, and change the landscape of presidential elections and ruin the reputation of the mainstream media all in under 90 minutes.
All right,
if that's what you meant,
let's get Kay in here. What do you?
I have a couple questions. Let me show my ignorance and age. Number one, what is the absolute significance of leaking the pre-done questions to a debate? Because my thing is although you don't know for sure what the questions are going to be, you can generally assume over a broad topic most likely what the questions are going to be and how they're going to be asked. Mm-hmm. And as for their reputation, what reputation? That went down
you may have a point
into
there.
The septic system.
Form your question a little bit better. I mean, you say what's the point? I mean, what are you really getting at about?
I do not understand
leaking the questions.
Probably me and a large portion of other people. I know leaking the questions like I guess you could say to a test, and I guess that is what it is they leaked the questions to the test before you got in to see it, but I don't understand how big of a deal it actually is that they leaked the questions to her, because
the affidavit, let me address this and then you take it, Chris. The affidavit says that it wasn't just, and actually the actual questions were not leaked. The generalization of the questions were leaked. But also in the affidavit, it says that she will not be fact checked. It actually says that in the affidavit, and in the affidavit it also says there was a third point. And if you were to listen to the very beginning of the rules as it was read to the general public before they ever came on, it says verbatim that none of these questions were discussed with either campaign. So that's the general premise of what the audience was told before they ever started. Right. Go ahead, Chris, jump in on that.
Yeah, so on that, I think it would help most people, and this is very interesting and telling that we have kind of like the three different generations looking at this here.
Okay.
People may not know, especially if you're coming from the younger side of things, it used to be tradition that there would be 3 presidential debates. They usually happened later in the election cycle between like September and October, heading into the end of things. You usually had one that would be centered around foreign policy completely, one that would be centered around like the economy, and then one that would be centered around like your domestic policy.
That makes sense.
Things like that. Right. So that way you basically kind of what you're saying, they generally knew, hey, I'm going into this debate and we're talking all about foreign policy tonight. Like people kind of understood. But the point of the debate and the reason that it's such a scandal for them to have the questions beforehand is because it is supposed to be an opportunity for the presidential candidate to be candid in front of a viewing audience. So that way it's like I am answering these things based on what I believe, what my platform is, and I'm doing it off the cuff. These aren't prepared talking points so that the American people can get to know me. And the American people should absolutely be able to get to know the candidate that they're voting for, what are their actual beliefs, what do they look like when they speak extemporaneously, so on and so forth. By leaking out those questions beforehand, and allowing one candidate to never be fact-checked, and then to basically have the questions so that they can prepare talking points that they don't have to emerge from behind. Like it's a giant, like they're basically slitting the throat of journalistic ethics. You can take that and throw it completely out the door.
The Democrats can't.
They have zero integrity anymore. I'm talking about ABC. I'm talking about ABC. So there's no such thing as journalistic ethics there anymore, because it's like, as you said, Dad, they even said in the beginning, hey, like these questions have not been discussed.
Yeah, they explained the rules. They did.
Like, right, and then it's like wrong. And then there's one other thing that happened during that debate that I never heard a lot of people pick up on, but I was watching it with my buddies and I was doing the the Leo DiCaprio thing. It's like they said, and it became such a huge deal because remember they were going back and forth before the debate about, are the mics going to be muted? Are they going to be left on? They were the two candidates' campaigns were going back and forth about that. And then ultimately they were like, no, these are the rules that were agreed to beforehand, and so the mics are going to be muted.
So why
absolutely
change them?
They did not mute her mic. Starting about halfway through the debate,
I caught that. I caught that because I could hear her.
She was allowed to start rebutting him in real time.
In real time, I looked top of him.
And I was like, how come they're not muting her mic like they said? So there was so many things that ABC, like I said, they completely destroyed their own reputation. And I don't see and again, I think the second, third order effects of this are, if you're a Republican candidate going forward, why would you ever
why would you
ever work with them ever again?
Right.
And allow them to, because campaigns are big money too. A lot of people don't understand. It's like, for ABC, 67 million people tuned in to view that on their network.
Nationwide.
It's all for advertisers and all that. I mean, that's how ABC is getting a piece of this pie. That's how they're making their money in all of this. And so it's like, you want to see things change? Cut them out of the loop. No more money for you, man. You don't get to be a part of the presidential election.
What's up?
Cycle anymore.
2 things. The Democrats, or I should say, being more generalized, a certain political party can't do anything without a script because the perfume is wearing off of the septic tank and it's starting to smell through. And number two, they can't even
Great
cover their
metaphor.
they can't even cover their tracks really well. I heard on a certain popular talk radio show here that if you asked Alexa, why should you vote for, Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris? Well, they fixed it because a certain sister of ours, daughter of yours, Dad, actually, her husband has an Alexa, and I'm like, oh, do the thing. Ask it why you should vote for, Kamala versus Donald Trump. Well, they fixed it, and it said the same thing for both of them. But the question is what kind of influence do they have that people should ask their Alexa why they should vote for somebody? You cannot make up your own mind.
I'm really worried for a generation that would ask Alexa anyway. That's, artificial intelligence. Tell me who I should vote for. Well, I mean, just in the two words, artificial intelligence.
But with the money that paid to program the artificial intelligence.
Well, yeah, let me answer your question in my way, and then I want to bring in another view. You say, what's the point of the debate? This particular debate,
I didn't watch it.
Maybe if we were looking back 68, 72, 76, whatever, all those other debates, they don't necessarily, all those men, I mean, even if you didn't like Jimmy Carter, my goodness, he had a master's degree in nuclear physicist and was the rear admiral of the nuclear fleet. Okay, this guy is not stupid, and he can speak before people because he has. Ronald Reagan, the actor, end up being it. He can handle a camera and can handle himself and has all of that. Whether you liked Clinton, Obama, all of these guys had the charisma to be able to take an answer in front of that. Yeah. In this particular debate, what really mattered, think of it like what we do with doctors in their junior and senior residency. We make them work 24 hours on, 24 hours off so that we know that they can handle the crisis of when people come walking through the emergency room and into it. Totally irrelevant today, but we did that for the crisis. In this debate and in presidential debates, what it is we need people that have the character, so they have to be able to answer out of their character, smart, face the camera, and be able to do something that doesn't cause our country or Wall Street to fall or anything else because they said something stupid.
Can you handle pressure?
West Wing had a great one of their episodes on this. The person who was the spokesperson got sick, and one of the deputy spokespersons goes, "Oh, I'll just do it for the day." And every time he kept saying something, it just kept destroying the White House because the wrong thing kept rolling out of his mouth.
It's spiraling deeper.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Well, Kamala has a problem with word salad. And without knowing what the questions were, and by the way, she did it on the very first one anyway. The very first question.
You can't help chronic stupidity.
Well,
so when you say that
was a great example too, Dad, because she never answered a single question the entire night.
A single one, but the first one was the worst. The very first
question was it was terrible because she goes, and this is what ends up happening. David Muir goes, "Are Americans better off now than they were 4 years ago?"
Mm-hmm.
No. He goes, but he's been answering no.
And she goes, I grew up a middle class kid. And it's like,
why
are you going with that? It all began with the forging of the great rings. You're like, where are we going with this?
I think she would have won more people with that one than she did. Yeah. I grew up as a middle class child.
The paradox gave an enigma a very special hug.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yosh.
I was going to say redundancy and idiocy gave, a very special hug.
So the point, though, is to see the character of the person given a question on the spot. What is your character? Because what happens is you answer the question out of character, not answer the question because you've rehearsed it.
Yeah.
So if we were in the middle of a crisis and he needed to step up to a microphone, she needed to step up to a microphone,
I do declare.
we would get something. Okay, so
you're going to get something.
A nuclear salad?
That's what we would hope not to get. All right, so I wanna take this to you. Here's the next question. Then, it's not going to happen. It's CNN, MSNBC. Here we go. Who's the culprit there tonight? ABC.
ABC.
Right. Is there a remedy to keep this from happening? Because nobody, heaven forbid, that Fox gets to actually narrate one of these things. Oh, heaven forbid that you look at the guys at Newsmax and ask them, can you handle this stuff? Is there a remedy?
I think there is, but is there one that people are like the liberal news media?
I want to hear your remedy, because I've been thinking, what's a remedy for this?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that you cut the human beings out of it altogether. I think that you do like a town hall style meeting.
Oh, I was gonna say let AI take over it all.
AI.
No.
Do like a town hall.
Human out.
Do a town hall style meeting. Have the two candidates there, and then I think that they just field questions that come in from the crowd, right? Because it's like I think that you should have a crowd at the debate.
Even if you should too, citizens. Sure.
If you have viewers, basically I think that they should be able to submit questions, and then the questions pop up on the teleprompter, and it'll just say like, in this case, President Trump, question 1, and it's read to him, and then he could just take off on it, and then all right, Kamala Harris, same question, right? The questions go to both of them. You get 2 minutes, Mike gets muted. You get 2 minutes, Mike gets muted. You get 60 seconds to rebut. You get 60 seconds to rebut. Next question.
Yeah.
And there's no, it's like we don't need the moderators there. We really
take
don't.
out the moderators. That's what you're suggesting.
No,
okay.
We really don't. And it's just, and then all it is like you literally get 2 minutes, and it's like they can automate these things, and it's 3, 2, 1, and the mic just goes dead, and then a 60 seconds pop up, and her mic turns on. You don't need somebody to tell to go back and forth.
That's true. That's true. You know what would be interesting in all of that? I like the idea of fact checking, but so you're going to leave the questions up to the general public, leave fact checking up to the general public.
No, I'm totally cool, because that's what community notes are.
Actually, and do you know that's what ended up happening? So you had X and you had other places where the general public was going to fact checking it, and they started posting it, and they said those places blew up with a lot of the things that, especially what she was saying.
Yeah.
Rumble set viewing records on the night of the debate.
Did they?
Like, and the number of people that they streamed. Yeah, and then it's like it wasn't just the candidates that were getting fact checked, like
the moderators.
Oh, the moderators.
Yeah, fact checking. When Lindsay Davis said there is no state in the United States where you can get a late term abortion.
And every talk radio show had to do no research because of all the fact checking that went on. They were able to pull it all offline.
Yeah, and we talked about it over on the other podcast, and you can go to Axios right now. And if you go to Axios, there's an article from June that has, and this is Axios, right? Like it's very left wing.
Yeah, this is left wing.
And the reason is because it's funny is because back in June when they wrote this article, they were bragging about it. Here are the states where you can get late term abortions, anything after 28 weeks, and it has a heat map of it where you can see this stuff. But now that happened, they were like, oh, that article did not age.
Take it down.
Did not age well, but you can pull that map up, and it's super easy to reference.
That hurts. Here's my thoughts on it. I love that idea, but my first thought, 2 words: angry mob.
Number 2, say they don't get security.
No. Explain. I'm not sure where you're coming from. Angry mob. What do you mean?
Town hall meetings that go down in history were due to an angry mob because people would ask questions, or that's a dumb question.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Right. my legitimate concern about it is you still need somebody to field out the similar questions, the dumb questions, because there's going to be someone that's going to come up and ask an absolutely dumb, ridiculous, stupid question as a prank that they were asked to do.
No, the questions would get submitted prior, not come from the floor, and then they would go through a vetting process.
Because it sounded like, but still that gives the problem of, okay, they've been vetted, but by who? And
I mean, you're right. I mean, look at all that we've done, but yeah, you're right.
So that's my only concern.
Here's my answer. I actually would like part of your answer and incorporate your answer into my answer. So when the two groups sit down with the rules, you do realize that is a contract.
Yeah.
Do you know what you can do with a breach of contract?
A suit?
Well, apparently not.
Oh, you got it. Bam, 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 bam.
I'm sorry,
worth?
Trump losing all of these court cases.
You sue the pants off. Well, especially when you get a whistleblower like what they did. You sue the pants off. Yeah, and here's the beauty of it. In my mind, it's not suing them right away. How long will it take that court case to get through? A year and a half? So you got after the election, when do they start raising money for the next presidential election?
Right away.
Yeah, well, Wednesday, November the 4th or whatever the day is, right? Okay. So you start suing a year and a half later, you end up suing them for $750 million, the party. They don't have any money to start going to bat with into the next election.
No,
if it's going to cost them because of the moderators and that they played along, if it's going to end up costing them and you lost the election, what's the value of losing the election? All of your particular fundraising purse? You could have raised the hundreds of millions of dollars so that you could have won. We lost it because we lost the election. That's what we're due back. Because we lost the money because you guys cheated. You let one law, and the best way to make things work is to hit them where it hurts the worst. Money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Real material losses. And I do think that Republicans need to just get a lot better about using the law, like
the legal system,
for what it's for. I'm not talking about using it illegally or shadily, but it's like if there is defamation, if there is something where you have standing that you can go after these people, stop acting like you're above it, and clutching your pearls and climb down here and start waging the legal war, because you're absolutely right. The process is the punishment a lot of the times, and you need to drag them through it because they have no compunction about doing it to you. And look what they did with Donald Trump in New York. With the Alvin Bragg case, right? Yeah. Like they're throwing out the statute of limitations and making up rules.
Oh yeah.
So that they can
we're not asking for any of that.
No, I'm saying by the way, correctly.
And by the way, really cool. You said defamation. Well, defamation, libel, those things are super, super hard to prove, and all that other kind of stuff. But breach of contract, not hard here. The whistleblower came forward. Here's the rules. You broke them.
Right.
Boom.
Here's the rules, here's the proof.
Done. And here's
the
value of it.
Stupid microphone rule.
And here's the value of it. That kind of stuff. All right. Now we're going to pivot. I'm going to bring us in to our next subject, but I'm going to use this. We're coming out of this. You've got all the lies to the American people that are being told, and this whole cultural issue about people. Of course, there's people who want to be lied to because they just have, what is it called? TDS, right? Did I get it right?
I think so.
Oh, Trump derangement syndrome.
Thank you for saying it for me, so I didn't have to.
Yeah. I didn't.
Okay.
What the heck? Oh.
But it is because of things that are said, right? It's because of the setup. I mean, there's people who are they want to believe. That's the other reason why we talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, and that is why it is the best description of this. They want to drink the Kool-Aid. Give it to me. I don't want to see anything different. Okay.
They have so many problems with their own personal life. They need somewhere to project. And obviously, Trump is a great outlet somehow.
Okay, psychologically, isn't that the bio on our next shooter?
Don't know. I don't know anything about.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Chris at that. But so you go through this whole thing, all this lying, and I just bring up all of that up, this mistruth, all of that in order to, they think they're doing a great thing in order to election
crusade?
interference. I mean, isn't that what it is? Throwing an election, trying to do that. In the process, you have your people who are so wrapped up into it that they start doing. Take it, Chris.
I mean, yeah, they literally tried to kill him again. Like they tried to kill him again, and it is kind of amazing to me, like how this one man has broken so many people's brains, you know. And it's like I don't understand how or why, like where the projection comes from, but in an effort to, you know, declare themselves morally superior, and then there's this whole Machiavellian notion for being on the left where the end always justifies the means, and it almost seems like Donald Trump represents like the perfect antithesis to everything that they are. Like,
you don't think it comes from the lying? That's
you
not
literally can't
feeding the cancer?
You literally can't break the man. Like, they've indicted him, they've tried to throw him in jail, they've tried to take his money, they've tried to seize his assets, now they've tried to kill him twice, they've defamed him, and the dude just keeps coming back. He is like truly Teflon Don. And it's like the more that they go after him, the more that he keeps rising in the polls. Like, it really is an amazing thing to watch. And
we'll talk about the polls after this.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
disgusting.
Sure. Well, yeah, so a couple days ago, or sorry, this is the 16th that we're filming this. So this is as of yesterday at about 1:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
A dude snuck onto the premises of one of Donald Trump's golf courses, as Trump International Golf Club, I believe is what the name of it is, but it's in West Palm Beach, Florida. Apparently he staged himself up 12 hours prior to Donald Trump taking an off-the-record trip to go visit the golf course on a Sunday to go golfing, and that's very important, an off-the-record trip, because basically
and
this
12
is,
hours. And 12 hours.
He was staged up there for 12 hours prior, waiting for Donald Trump to play through. He was around the fifth. He was off the perimeter around the fifth, in between the fifth and sixth hole. And so an off-the-record trip is where the Secret Service or the protective detail does not publish on the official record, off the record, where the protectee is going and what is on their schedule. It's to be kept secret. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. And so you don't tell people where they're going.
No,
Somehow this guy shows up. Somehow this guy shows up where Trump is. So that's my first question about all this is how in the world 12 hours ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
How in the world did this guy know where to go set up? So he comes in, sets himself up. He's carrying two backpacks that have ceramic tiles stacked in them, which he drapes on the fence, presumably to make some type of home barrier that he because it's a chain link fence that he can hide behind. So apparently he's anticipating taking rounds coming back in his direction.
Didn't he have there's other things there, right?
He also has an AK style rifle that did have an optic of some type on top of it. I'm not aware of this
I didn't
time
hear about the optic.
what type of optic it was, but it was scoped. And then he was carrying a GoPro camera.
Yeah, GoPro.
so that he could film what he was going to do.
Maybe vlogging it.
Unknown, but obviously so that he could
get it up on the internet. You know, what kind of a hero would that make him?
This is my DIY homemade barricade. We're just gonna go out back to all of our ceramic tiles. We're gonna go get.
Right.
I don't know. So, was it a proof of life GoPro? You get what I'm saying?
There could be a lot of reasons for that. That would be the most famous video on the internet of all time. Did he record it? Did he need proof of execution? You know, it's like what was he using it for? But he had it there. So anyway, so then around 1:30, Trump is playing through. Apparently, this guy was anywhere between 300 to 500 yards away from the president as he's moving through. Secret Service agents that are moving in advance of the president
to clear the perimeter.
To clear the perimeter, see the muzzle of his weapon in the bush line. They engage with him. Rounds are traded between him and the Secret Service. He flees the scene and gets into a black Nissan and then starts ripping up I-95, fleeing away from...
Yeah, but before he takes off, what happens?
So this is probably the coolest part of the story, and this comes straight from the press conference that the sheriff gave after the incident, but did say that a citizen came up to the police and was like, I saw the guy. He jumped in a black Nissan over there. He took off. I took a picture of the car, and here's a picture of the license plate, picture of the tags. And so the reason they were able to catch this guy so fast is because, God bless a concerned private citizen that saw what was going on and did the right thing. Ditched the weapon, ditched the GoPro. The guy basically just got up and ran and left all of his equipment behind. He was apprehended about 45 minutes later, and he remains in custody right now. So that is the story as we know it. One other piece of information that I'm very proud of, Governor Ron DeSantis did make a statement on X that Florida as a state will be conducting its own investigation apart from the federal authorities on what exactly happened here.
And the state of Florida has filed charges so that whatever happens to this guy, he will have to face the state of Florida for the charges, just in case the FBI kind of comes in and goes, no, he's ours.
Well, I do believe
there's a jurisdiction thing there.
I do believe he was already remanded to the FBI for custody, but you are correct. The state of Florida moved to file charges very quickly, so he will have to
face them
in a court. So there is that. So what little we know about this guy? He was a Ukrainian war activist.
Yes.
I guess.
But he's American. He is American.
He is American.
He's an activist.
He said he was originally from North Carolina, and then took off, moved to Hawaii, and then went from Hawaii over to fight in Ukraine. He has some very interesting ties online to people that admit to working for the the CIA. So there are some very interesting immediate red flags that are going up about who this guy is and what he was doing. And then even though he was on the ground trying to fight for Ukraine in the conflict over there, he made a weird loop in the media circuit. Semaphore, New York Times, and Newsweek all interviewed him. He appears in a BlackRock propaganda video about what was going on in Ukraine. This dude, there's a bunch of weird stuff that popped up about this guy almost immediately.
What's his name?
While people, I'm not going to say his name on here because I'm not going to go. You guys, it's all over the internet. You can go look up.
You can look it up. Do you mind if I say at least his last name?
Sure, I don't.
Ruth.
Yeah,
and it's spelled Routh.
Yeah, I just don't. There's a thing about shooters and would-be assassins, and part of the psychological profile is because they do want to be famous, they want to be notorious, and so
infamous.
The way you get back at these guys is squash it and don't give them.
We don't give them that kind of acknowledgement.
Right. So
that kind of thing. So a couple of things that I want to get out of this. I get that return fire of the CIA, or excuse me, Secret Service, was so hot that that's what squashed everything. It the fire at him did that.
Yeah, he was decisively engaged,
but they missed.
Yeah. Well,
that you see, it's like Secret Service. Now, wait a minute. Now I do realize the one guy in the first one, 1.0, Sniper 1.0, there back at the assassination attempt 1.0.
In July.
He took his shots.
It's so weird that you have to say, the first assassination attempt.
Well, he's not the first president to have multiple assassination attempts, but I think he's the first one to have
in modern
No.
history.
There's probably more foiled assassination attempts that we never
than
know
we
about in the public.
realize.
The weird thing that's happening right now is how these are happening in front of the media and are playing out in a way that, like, it's happening in public in front of everybody, and nobody,
Yeah.
they can't
Yeah.
stop it, the information from getting out. And that is very strange.
Yeah.
You know, it
It's
could be
different day and age.
because we have the internet now, and
Yeah.
right, everybody carries around a cell phone, but
Yeah, I was just talking to Mom about how if we found something new out on a map, that Google would just go out, take a picture of it, send out a new update, and a new program, and it would automatically update on our phones. Whereas every single map that would be hard printed would have to be, thrown away, reprinted,
Mhm.
and it would take years to go through to try and do it. And the painstaking process of, mapping out it, there's an actual word, a cartographer, to actually map it out, though it takes so long. But nowadays, just in less than a day, Google goes out constantly in cities, and they have Google cars, and they update the map constantly about, oh, well, there's a new restaurant here. Well, there's road construction over here.
Mhm.
This attraction getting ready to come out, not too far from you, because they're constantly updating it. Every single week, there's most likely just something new. And yeah, everybody has that power at their fingertips. Like, even the homeless people somehow manage to have a phone.
So back to
So do the
this.
Haitians.
Ha ha ha.
That's
Yes, that's
how
for
they get the
dessert.
recipes for the cats.
That's all about dessert right there. The new maps.
Meow.
What? So yeah, okay. You have to be proficient with a firearm. Seeing the muzzle, pulling it out. Why did they miss? I mean, these guys are supposed to be good. No,
I mean,
excellent.
I'm gonna assume they said 300 to 500 yards.
Not the no, that's Trump, not the team
That was from
going
Trump.
before.
But I mean, I'm going to assume that they probably engaged him with their handguns.
I would assume that, sure.
And if they, depending on how far away they are from him, pull out, draw down, start laying down rounds, and he immediately rolls into the bush line, jumps that fence,
I
and
did
then
see
just
it.
takes off.
There's quite a.
takes off
He's
running.
got quite a cover, by the way.
Yeah,
He had quite a ground cover.
that really doesn't surprise me, depending
Okay.
on the distance that they're at.
Okay.
Engaging him. It really doesn't send up red flags to me. Pistol marksmanship is probably one of the hardest skills in the world. People don't realize how hard it is to shoot a handgun.
Well, I
It's-
do. I can barely hit the board the target's on.
Yeah, it is you have to spend
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of hours to be proficient with a handgun.
Okay.
And then those
Okay.
skills are super perishable.
Do you think his 2 backpacks of tile helped him any?
I don't know. I've seen pictures of them, but the pictures that I saw, they weren't clear enough to see if there was any rounds, if they actually absorbed
That's
any
true.
rounds.
That's true.
was unable to
I
see.
saw him from
But I
the
would be interested
backside.
to-
I didn't
I
see
would
him
be
from the
interested-
front. Yeah, that would be really interesting to end up knowing. Are there going to be more? I mean, the rhetoric
Attempts?
the rhetoric is not cooling down. In fact,
No.
I don't know if you heard this or not, but I just hours after that it happened, Democratic Harris campaign, Democratic Party was already doing their best to downplay it.
Oh yeah. No, I do believe that we are going to see more attempts. Why would they slow down now? The whole thing is escalating. It's you're watching the escalation. It's not we're not suddenly going to hit a point where all of a sudden like it cools off. Because if he does win the election, we're going to go straight into it'll be riot season again. And there will be
Crusade.
Well, go ahead, Kay. You had something.
Oh, it's a crusade. One person stands up and takes a stand, and all the other crazies go, "Ooh, follow the leader." Oh, it turns into an awful crusade because of what you said earlier, Trump derangement system, and it becomes
Syndrome.
just an absolute. What did I say?
system.
It is a system that people have implemented a system to make the syndrome. Let's just put it that way. And that's what I truly believe, because it has been a rhetoric that has been said by, who even started it? I don't know. Besides the Democrats constantly saying you should hate him, they put the system in place. But once one person stands up and everybody else goes, oh, I could do that too because I so hate them, I'm going to start contributing.
You got a good point there.
And there could just be this whole new network of people going, oh, yeah, do you want to come join us this Sunday? We're going to have a church service, and then, we're going to add to the stockpile of how we're going to, assassinate Trump, And I'm bringing quiche on Saturday to the book club, where we also are reading a book about how to assassinate people. It just...
She's not far off, dude. I mean, I'm listening to these guys talk, and they try to make their way of thinking as, you know what it's like? It's like listening to The View.
Oh, gag.
The thinking is like listening to the verbalization of The View.
Yeah. What was amazing to me was watching. Yeah, it really is. What was amazing to me was watching the media immediately try to downplay it. Like, I believe it was Lester Holt for NBC turns around and basically, I'm going to paraphrase him, but he basically blamed Donald Trump for the assassination attempt, and then was like, I wonder, it's like, is he going to start turning down the rhetoric? It's like, look at what's happening. And he basically blamed this guy trying to kill Donald Trump on Donald Trump and like the stuff that he said. He's like, well, there you go.
Did he really?
This is what you get. I'm paraphrasing him, but then that's the essence of what he said. And it's just amazing to me, because it's like somebody tries to kill Trump and the entire left-wing media goes, well, it's because of all the stuff that he said. You're going to get that. Yeah. You're going to get that. Like, why do you keep, why do you keep saying all those crazy things? And it's just like, dude, this is wild. These are wild times that we live in, and you're watching them lay the groundwork now for the violence that is to come, because this is the pre-justification for all this stuff. So and then watch the way that they're excusing people for doing the violent acts, and you'll see how when the riots start here in a few months,
it's Trump's fault.
Be right. It's Trump's fault.
It'll all be right.
It's Trump's fault. Do you remember, Dad, you brought up the video and you were watching it right after, not even a week after Trump's first assassination. They were over in California on like the famous boardwalk down by the bay and everything. And
that's in San Francisco.
I assume it's San Francisco.
Yeah.
Walking down along the pier and everything in the boardwalk, and they're like, so what do you think of Trump's assassination? And one guy goes, oh, I mean, I gotta really give him props. That was really well staged.
Actually, that was in L.A. No, that was down in L.A.
Well,
Go ahead, finish with what was said. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Same derangement and awful area. And he goes, oh, it was really nicely staged. What, you don't think that happened? You didn't think? No, of course it wasn't real. Trump did it all on purpose. He was really great acting. Some guy died and actually lost his life. Well, Trump doesn't care. I mean, all for him to get fame and put him in the spotlight. He doesn't care if a person dies or so in his wake of his actions.
Yeah, I listened to that guy interview people.
These people are nuts, man.
Yeah.
Some of these people are nuts.
They paint their grass because they don't have enough water to keep it green.
Yeah. That there is a mental thing there to say about reality, that I'll paint my grass because I can't water it so that it will look green. I mean, here in Wisconsin, we have finally come
with a petroleum-based paint product.
No, the asbestos-based paint product.
Might as well be. Right now we've hit that stride in Wisconsin where we've been 8 days now without rain, and the grass is starting to turn a little brown and so forth. And the rest of us are going, oh, man, we can quit cutting grass for a while. Hey, we finally have made it. We're good. No, L.A. Looks is everything. And if I can't water my grass, I will paint it.
I know, but there's so many water restrictions.
But that's what's hilarious to me. You have water restrictions because of either bad democratic policies that cause them to have water shortages and rolling blackouts and everything, which that happens in California.
Right.
Fifth largest economy in the world, and they can't keep the lights on, which is really funny.
Just in their state. Just in their state. Fifth largest economy.
Or because of climate change, we don't want to use too much water. So it's like I don't want to use too much water because I'm trying to save the environment. But you know what I will do is I will take a petroleum-based paint product and put it on my grass that I can't water because I'm trying to save the environment, right? And then putting fluorocarbons back into the air. And you're like, you people are crazy. You people are nuts. You're certifiably
nuts.
Yeah,
nuts.
Like a great comedian once said, "Oh no, save the dolphins in the tuna fish net." Well, what about the tuna fish in the tuna fish net?
Yeah,
but they're ugly.
Where are the bug rights activists? Nobody cares about the bugs because they are ugly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was that in one of our family's favorite movies? All the good diseases were gone.
All the good diseases. It's not a deadly disease. It's
unsightly.
Yeah.
All the good diseases were already taken. Hey.
I'm telling you. I'm gonna pivot on one more thing, and that is we say that there's going to be more, and one of the things that I caught from you, Chris. So I get it that you think that there's this feeling out there that the closer we get to the day of voting, there's going to be a higher level of panic.
Oh, yeah.
We're hitting a fever pitch.
So that's what's driving
I think getting
more
him
people to make this happen?
I think getting him off the campaign trail is another thing, too. Like, I think that there's a certain amount of, like, scare him off the campaign trail. Get him out of these, he can't keep having these rallies.
Are these two... Other than the desire to want to kill him, let's go for the conspiracy theory here. Are they linked?
I saw a video earlier today. It's a great. His name's Ian Carroll's. Great follow on X.
Okay.
This is kind of what he does. But he did suggest that there was a very interesting link between would-be assassin number 1 and would-be assassin number 2.
What did he use?
And it would seem that there was money changing hands of some kind.
Oh.
For what? They don't know, but there was payments that appears to be going
paid. This feels really paid.
That appears to be going back and forth between these individuals. And then just the fact that you have two people that tried to shoot the presidential candidate, the Republican presidential candidate, 2 months apart, and that those two people have some type of relationship, whether financial or that they knew each other, is freaking weird.
They have a relationship? I hadn't heard that.
Just that if there was money changing hands between the two of them, that would suggest that they had some sort of a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, financial.
So the money changing hands is between those two.
Those two.
And 1.0 and 2.0.
Yeah, and a third name that he references. So highly speculative. This stuff isn't verified yet, but it would seem that was happening. Why? Can't say.
So we'll say
there is a possibility that these two people had some sort of a connection.
You do know that there is a particular United States 3-letter agency that has been mentioned in both cases.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, because all of our agencies are mostly 3 letters, so, And I'm pretty sure
NASA is 4 letters. We call it NASA, but okay.
It doesn't count because it's not a 3-letter organization.
So,
wow. Here's the...
Yeah, and they're getting ready to ask Elon Musk to save the people up the space station because they can't get him down.
He already offered.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Here's the thing the thing that I find is actually similar. It doesn't sound similar, but it is, if you think about it. And that is, one had no social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
And the other that mentions everything and says everything has a social media presence and it's really weird stuff, and they didn't take it down.
No, they did.
They did eventually.
They deleted it within 20. So Meta deleted his stuff almost immediately, and people didn't get to it. But the pages, like I was telling you, like Ian Carroll's page on X and others, basically found this dude's entire Twitter and screenshotted the entire thing before they were able to take it down. It did eventually get disabled.
Down.
Okay, so maybe I stand corrected on that then.
But the Meta, the stuff on Meta, like it was, like gone.
Both of them, both of
the. Well, and the is 1.0, as you keep calling him.
Well, yeah, I don't want to grace his name either.
They found he had an account on a very kind of like small fringe social media website called Gab.
Yeah.
You guys have ever heard of it? And they
heard of it. Yep.
Okay, and the CEO of Gab came forward to, the government was like, hey, he did have an account here. Here's what it was. All super left-wing stuff, very pro-Biden, pro-Harris, like drank the Kool-Aid, and basically like showed it, came out with this, like here's where we're giving it to you.
I know
like
exactly where this is going.
And the government was like, yeah, no thanks,
don't need it.
And then they ran with the narrative that he was because they have that one picture where he's wearing.
He donated $10 to something.
Yeah, or something like that.
$5,
he was a Republican.
He was registered as a Republican.
Whatever.
Voting wise. That's what
Registered as a Republican, but he donated $5 or $10 to something. So
yeah, I don't know that, but yeah, I remember that he specifically registered.
It's a pretty well-known tactic at this point that people that are on the left will register Republican for the primary seasons,
right?
Just to mess up the Republican primaries and then switch back, and then that's pretty.
So that way they can have an influence on who the candidate's going to be that their candidate goes against. So they would rather have an easier one. So yeah, sure.
They don't participate in their own primaries. They participate in, Republican primaries. And then, it's pretty well known. I mean, you can go into the chat rooms and see where these people are talking about this stuff and how they.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's very interesting how you said to get him off the campaign trail back to Trump, because I say meow meow and the wonderful recipes. I saw a headline saying that they're trying to pin it and blame it on JD Vance and call him to step down as running for vice president, because he's the one making up the false claims and perpetuating the false story.
Did you see this? I saw this break just before we sat down to do this, but Governor of Ohio, his name slips my mind right now.
DeWine.
But, what was it? DeWine. That's right. Governor DeWine was talking about all of those supposed bomb threats that the media was blaming on JD Vance and Donald Trump, because it's like they're spreading the harmful misinformation that Haitians are eating people's pets. They are. The videos are coming out. Like, we can see it.
On TikTok.
I saw one dude walking with two geese in his hands, and he broke their neck, and he's walking away with the geese. By the way, that's good eating.
They are,
just so that they know.
I love geese. Goose is delicious. But anyway, my point being is the media narrative has been like, oh, Donald Trump and JD Vance are spreading harmful misinformation, and now look, there are all these bomb threats coming in against the Haitian migrants. They're stoking violence. Yeah, Governor DeWine had to release a press conference where he was like, every single one of those bomb threats has been verified to be hoaxes. Every
one.
Single one of them was hoaxed. So what you got is you've got far left-wing agitators that are calling in fake bomb threats on places, so that way people in the media can then have their red herring,
up the narrative,
so that they can grab it and run back and be like, look, you guys are you're fomenting, fomenting hate and violence against a group of people because of the harmful rhetoric that you're saying. And then, yep, it comes out every single one of them
Yeah.
was a hoax
What
call.
I want to know is
There is no right-wing group running around trying to bomb Haitians. There's angry townsfolk that are standing up in pet owners that are standing up in their
town meetings.
town hall meetings complaining about it. But
What I want to know is what is a 50,000 person town in South Central Ohio doing with 15,000 and then by some accounts 20,000 Haitians? How did they wind up there?
Well, they were bussed in by the Harris administration.
It's global warming.
That community was specifically chosen
because they're why?
I have my theories about why.
This is what your degree is in, so tell me why. Because that's exactly what your degree is in. That's the point.
Well, if I'll ask you, I'll ask you like this: if you have an area that is very sympathetic to your political opposition because it is, deep red, Trump supporting MAGA country. And then now I have a place, or I have all of these, migrants from the third world that I've given temporary protective status to. Wouldn't it just kind of work to my benefit to take those people, drop them off in an area that is not very politically good for me, right? And then because I'm offering them temporary protective status, which, by the way, then I could probably very easily get them signed up to vote because they're all being processed into the country. I'm pretty sure that these people are all going to vote for me because I'm the one that brought them into the United States. And then on the other side of it, too, we can start talking about the gerrymandering and the redistricting and everything in Congress because now you're going to get the population goes up. And so the amount of electoral votes goes up. And if I can, get this entire deep red area to switch blue because I just increased the population by 25% immediately. I mean, that's my theory about the whole thing. Why would they pick deep red, some tiny town in deep red Ohio that most of the country would go unnoticed by most of the country? Most people have never even heard of that place, wouldn't care. If you pointed it to them on a map, they'd shrug and walk away.
Right.
Yeah,
that's super flyover country, man.
And
they
we got
for the Bengals and the Browns there. Nobody cares.
Right. And we got the same thing going on in Wisconsin when they emptied out Afghanistan. When they emptied out Afghanistan and they made that emergency pullout where we left billions of dollars worth of equipment and 13 of our boys were lost. In the process, they brought over to Fort McCoy over 20,000. Now, they said to us that there was only going to be 5,000 people brought in. But by the time it was all said and done, Fort McCoy, a part of it that had been shut down and there was military housing there, has been given, by some estimates, up towards 18 to 20,000 refugees, Afghani refugees are there.
Yeah.
And just to prove a little point, do you know how much Trump lost Wisconsin by last time?
Just under 20,000 votes.
Under 20,000 votes. 20,000 can make all the difference in the world.
That's what I'm saying. And so you're watching them bus them in. You're watching them give them temporary protected status or whatever, the minutia of the legality of it is, the why they can get them in here. And then you're watching them put them on buses, and they're not sending them to sanctuary cities. They're dropping them off in places like Baraboo, Wisconsin, and Springfield, Ohio, and Western Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
just
deliberate.
A little bit of an announcement to you. I've made connections with someone who is actually made connections with, instead of going through, I've tried 3 times to call the Republican Party here in the state of Wisconsin.
Don't get me started on the Wisconsin GOP.
So the person's gotten me connected to the Trump campaign.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
very cool.
And I said I'd like to be a part of the the ballot box watch if they're doing something. And they said, and she said, I'll keep you posted. We've been talking about it. And there happens to be a congressman that is somewhat giving assistance. There's a thing where they can and can't help for different reasons because he's in a campaign, this particular congressman. But he is also part of election oversight committee here in the state. So that gives him some space to work with it. But it's actually the Trump campaign that is doing things. I think they might be working with Charlie Kirk and that organization too to bring about election integrity. But I have inquired and I put it out there. If I can be of assistance, let me know what I can do. Let me know what I can do.
Let me know if they call you back, because I reached out to every single GOP chair in all 172 counties in Wisconsin, and you probably wouldn't be surprised, but the whole like, hey, I'm here, I'd like to help. Oh yeah, okay, cool, yes.
Yeah. I was flat out.
I found these people to not be very serious people. And
I found out that Waushara County was as worthless as. No, I'll let you finish the phrase. And put in whatever one you would like that speaks volumes to you, because that's the way we roll.
It's very.
We're coming up to the end. What a show. What a discussion. My goodness. The only thing that we were lacking is if we were sitting at a coffee bar and we would have had about 2 pots gone by now. For some people that might have, belly up to a regular bar, you might be working on your second brewski by the end of this conversation. And it's been a good one. I appreciate what you guys have had, what you have had to say. So I would like to do a little pivoting. Let's go for some levity here. And I'm going to kind of skip what I was on, if you guys don't mind. We're going to talk about Exodus chapter 3 and good leadership. And I'll just throw this at you just a little bit because I want everybody to get it. So, okay, here you go. Moses was looking into a burning bush. And the burning bush was supposed to be God. Moses is getting ready to be leader of a couple of million people. A couple of million sweaty, squawky, loud, obnoxious, disgruntled people that are always, he doesn't know it yet, but that's all they're doing is they walk around and they cry. Yeah. He didn't know that's what he's going to do. So God speaks to him from the bush and says, take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. And then he gives him his job and tells him what he's going to do. And Moses was 2 things. Didn't question it. We don't have anything there. The only question he asks is, well, who shall I say sent me? You're not telling me who you are. I just want to know by what authority. This comes from a guy that was in the king's palace that understands you don't do anything unless you got the king's authority. And if you got it, that's all you need.
Right.
Okay. But so give me a name, because back then that's how you got it. You had a name, you had the name, that name got you places. So, I mean, to this very day, we talk about name dropping, right? The other thing that Moses goes in with is not only did we really don't see a question that he asks, is that, and this may sound funny, but he remembered exactly what he was told to do. I am so afraid you put me in that situation and I'd be like, what was the exact wording again?
Wait a second. I was too busy, I was too busy trying to
it was burning, but it wasn't burning. I was kind of like mesmerized, Jim Varney with the fire. I was so mesmerized. What was it again? I'm sure I would forget something. I'm not trying to crack out. I'm being honest. It's like, what did he say?
Somebody sent me a meme the other day, and it was like, name for me a non-Marvel character that could have lifted Thor's hammer. I'll wait. And then somebody took a picture, and it was Ernest P. Worrell. And I was just like,
absolutely.
He has no heart. He was pure of heart because he was empty of head. There wasn't anything there.
My favorite one they said of that is
Good dude,
actually
though. I miss him. Oh yeah, there you go. Mr. Rogers, another one. Yeah, Jim Vardy. He was
Jim
good
Vardy.
people.
Ernest
Ernest P. Worrell.
Worrell. Know what I mean? Yeah, got it. All right. So for a little levity, we're gonna turn this over to Kay, and she's gonna show us what she saw on the internet.
I thought I would go with a wider range of
Not all
genres.
cat videos this
Wider
week.
range. I mean, it's been pretty wide. A wider?
It's a bit. No, the first one isn't quite.
Can this show get any wider?
No, this isn't exactly wide at all. Just listen.
Washa and Drya.
Hi, the twins.
At least they're able to make fun of it.
Absolutely.
I saw the Ladasha and went.
I heard of that before.
Yeah, that's a joke that I've seen running around back when I was in college.
Oh
It's
man.
so bad. It is so bad. There's a black lady who goes through and it's like, what is your blackest black name? And she's even trying to say them and she's like, is that Erica? And it's like Eurikia. Like, what? She's funny.
Placenta.
All right.
Oh, it just makes me think of the Key and Peele sketch where he's in there, and he's reading everybody's like white names, but he's the black substitute.
Aaron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aaron.
That
Don't
one's
F up, Aaron.
yes.
But that
She
okay.
died.
D Nice. Is there a D Nice here? Denise?
Yeah.
Now you going to detention, you keep talking like that.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got for us? You made 11:06.
The cheese
was-
of truth. He takes
That was so intelligent until the lumber came up.
the lumber. No, the cheese of truth. The guy just takes random pieces of Swiss cheese and slaps them down on different things and reads what it says in the little holes. It's really funny.
I know people who
What?
read the Bible like
This
that.
is what passes for online content.
Oh yeah, actually, the cheese of truth is a bit of an older one as well.
Oh,
All right, next.
can't.
Don't get to
Oh, this
singular
interview
they,
went
them
off the
pronouns
rails.
for an individual. But we're here to talk about
Let me
you
just
and
point
stand
that
up for
out.
the crowd.
A
didn't
very
just point that out.
special
She was a
Special,
journalist in
yeah.
the
interview went off the rails.
Oh man,
I might go back and watch her. Where
I-
was that?
She's a former English teacher who's turned journalist who knows her words. Who knew?
sorry, I'm just a boring old heterosexual married woman. I'm not special. I'm normal.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what
caught
it
it
is.
really quick. I'm special.
Oh yeah,
I heard
and I want
you
to make
catch
sure
that too.
everybody knows how special I am.
I am.
Because there's a lot of these people have never gone through the
Puberty.
well, there's that, but it's there's the idea of like object permanence. There's a psychological phenomenon that happens at a certain age where all of a sudden you realize like, man, if I were to die tomorrow, the entire world would roll on. There wouldn't even be a blip. You know what I mean? And it's like, I am not that
Oh.
important.
I deal
And-
with
and it's-
that all.
And it's an important and it's important for people to go through that stage of development, because it's on the other side of that when you realize how insignificant you are, that it gives the relationships in your life and the special things that you do have those special meaning, because it's like, if it
Significance, yeah.
if it wasn't for these, I am so insignificant that if I didn't have these actual relationships that bind me to people, then yeah, I would be like, there would be no
But-
reason for me to be here.
The thing, Chris.
It makes them that much more important.
But here's the thing, Chris. They go through that, and then they do the exact opposite of what they should do. They should go, I make the significance out of this. They get to that point, and then they go, well, I'm gonna make myself the most special person ever. I can, instead of saying, I made the significance out of my life by putting into it the good that I can, instead of being like, I'm gonna now cherish the people in my life more because I put significance in the relationships that I have and the things that I do. No, they go off the rockers and say, I'm significant because I say so and I'm special, and then they just lose their mind.
No.
I disagree with you
no.
slightly. I don't think that they haven't even been able to wrestle with it yet.
there's a thing there. I have a bunch of septu and heading into octogenarians that are volunteers that I work with. All right.
Yeah.
And I can't begin to tell you, I've got this small group of about 3, and there's something deeply spiritual about or lacking of spirituality about this, that the 3 and the 4 people, there's 4 of them that I have the most trouble with. This is at the heart of it. I'm so special. So, and here's what it translates to me. Well, you know what? I'm just going to take my stuff and I'm going to go home.
I'm going to take my ball.
I'm going to take my ball and go home. And you know what? And I'm so special that the rest of you can't play without me. That's how important I am to this. I'm that important. It's all going to go.
That's funny.
What are you guys doing? You can't be doing it. I'm not there. You can't.
How dare you?
Are they
you
having
can't
fun?
have fun without me.
Are they having fun out there? Yeah.
That is the common, what you just talked about, and this phenomenon is the common thread that is going through all 4 of them. It just wouldn't work without them. And so if they leave, the place will fall apart.
Yeah. I'm putting false significance to the wrong thing because I feel so insignificant. I'm blustering and blundering just in the wrong direction.
Here's the other thing. We're sitting here laughing about it, but they take it so serious. It's not a laughing matter. They're serious about it.
Deathly serious.
Yeah, it's sad and pitiful.
Right. Well, that's why they tell you it went from silence is violence. Do you remember this back in the day? It was like, or they said words is violence. It started with the whole words is violence. You can't say that. That's like you're literally. They say things like dead naming. And like you are literally killing them with your words.
Yes.
Because their ego is so fragile. They went from that to then it's the whole progression of like what you tolerate today, you'll be forced to participate in tomorrow, and then you'll be forced to celebrate it the day after that, right? And so we went from like you tolerated it, words is violence, to then now the thing is silence is violence. If you don't stand up and repeat the platitudes, if you don't stand up and say the rhetoric, and if you don't stand up and affirm, and now it's just not even enough to not speak against me. It's if you don't if you sit there and stay silent, your silence is violence to me because you're not, you're not doing the not participating in the performative. What's the word? The performative Eucharist of their
and to think. Used to be so
religion.
I used to be so about psychology, and I used to study this stuff, but that particular
it'll practically pull you in and make you insane as well.
Yeah.
Yes, if you stare into that void will stare back into you.
Okay, what else? Let's get back to levity.
Didn't expect that one to go so sad. It is funny. Anyway.
No, the names were funny.
What the heck?
Chicken tender's a bit silly.
Gross. I was like,
that was creepy. That was creepy.
No,
I almost ate the dog. You know what she's doing? She's calling us Haitian, Chris. Almost ate the dog, man.
Chick-fil-A box that they're in is so cute, though.
Almost ate the dog. Dalton Jesus.
The whole trend that they're wrenching, and suddenly it creaks and they look over and the most ridiculous thing is holding it up. And I've seen like a Lego guy, an empty can of beer, a single crock, a little kid, of thing,
Dalton Jesus has got him.
Right. I saw that one and it's the Dalton Jesus and I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. I love it. Guy doesn't even know the history. It's great.
Oh, but you know what? He had trust in Dalton Jesus because he went right back to the wrench, man.
Exactly. All right.
All right, next.
Just grab that with his bare hand.
Larry Basinger.
See, that's what I was like. Did he just grab that with his bare hand?
Yeah, that's what he did. Larry Basinger, and you guys know who I'm talking about, he passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So when I first started working for him, I was a whole whopping 14 years old. We're in the dish room, dishes, Pots and pans go through. The rinse cycle is between 180 and 190 degrees. It would come up. The steam comes rolling out of the thing, and he would take these 20, 30-pound steel pans, and he would reach in and he would grab them and he would pull them out and set them up for the dryers to dry. And so I'm following him. It's the first year. Boom, the machine goes up. I reach in with my right hand. I lay a hold of that, and I quickly let it go. I looked at that, and I turned around and I looked at Larry, and he used his left hand, and he had a birth defect, and he didn't have, his hand was curled up because he didn't have much in the way of nerves in that hand. And that's the hand that he would use to reach in. And I looked at him the first time they did that, and he just went,
you know,
he was a special dude.
He was.
All right. Next. Exactly for you, Dad. All I can think of is, you know, Foster. Except you weren't like that. It's just for you. Because there's been quite a few HR meetings that I've been to, and it's so we can't do this anymore. We have marked these box tilters. You can no longer put them directly at a 90-degree angle. You have to have them tilted back a little bit. And the one thing I heard
went
from that,
and painted and put how far they had to have, how they had to go back. Yeah.
And the one thing I heard from is, how the crap did he do it? I've got 2 females out there. They've done it all this entire time they've been working here, and they haven't even tipped the box like that. And I'm like, ouch. But, like, yeah, I'm one of those females that have been working on using that piece of machinery. And he compared me, and I'm like, I'm not offended, but I feel like I should be. But, yeah, I guess that just proves his point. How badly did you mess up? Plus, I've got a picture of it. He had the box tilter for Gaylord all the way up, 90-degree angle.
Now
and
he's carrying around 5,000 pounds on it. Okay, so just so that you know how much weight.
It was almost empty when
he did it. Okay.
Yes. What caused it to tilt was like a 30-pound server that he pulled from the edge and put on the edge.
No, that was over 100 pounds.
Oh, sorry. Okay. 30 plus. I'm still accurate. Anyway, I still have the picture. I came running out because, yeah, the plus 100-pound server hit it and shook and reverberated through the concrete. It even got Ben's attention inside the kitchen of the warehouse we were working in. And I saw that. We're like, Foster, yelling at him, are you okay? Because the box is down and we couldn't see where he was.
It was over top of his head, yes.
Yeah, because it literally engulfed him. The box landed on top of him, tipped on top of him off of the pallet. He turned around, and without anybody noticing, I quickly snapped a picture. In that box tilter, in the pallet, he also had a pallet jack that was lifted up completely, vertically 90 degrees off the ground.
90 degrees.
And it was one of the heavier duty pallet jacks as well. The one, not one of the like couple 100-pound one. It was the couple 1,000-pound one. And I'm just like,
she goes back and she shows me this picture, and I'm like,
what's wrong with it?
How did he get that up there?
Nobody notices it. I zoom in and I circle it and I, show him the picture then, and he goes, how is that up there? What?
Yeah.
You don't, if you weren't paying attention or weren't noticing, because things are sticking out randomly everywhere, and if you're just not paying attention, you wouldn't see it. And I'm just like, I'm genuinely curious right about now. How did you do that? Because how the forks shouldn't have fit together.
Wow. Let's just say it should have been on one of those Eastern Indian tapes where they go, is this safe?
OSHA. Come with me.
All right.
You'll be in a world of OSHA violations. Anyway.
Let's go. She was honest. That's savage. Is there salt in this? That
love
dude
that.
is going to have a great dating time. Yes, he
he's
is.
going places.
Love that. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, when
what
he
do you
gets
think?
older, does this dress make me look fat?
Yeah. Well, why did you
Yeah.
say that? 'Cause it does. I love that
Yeah.
though. What do you think
You
of jelly?
bet.
You can take it home.
Yeah. You betcha.
Oh, I love it. It was great.
Oh, man. All right,
That's
what
all
we
I
got?
have.
Is that it? All
That is
right.
it. This is a bit shorter.
That was
Enjoyed that one.
That was a nice social experiment, that last
You
one.
definitely, you broadened your horizons. I'll give you that.
You did. You did.
That 1
It's
week.
a bit salty. A lot salty.
I did have to go show somebody that video that you showed me the other day about what was it? Gonks or something?
Fong.
Fonk. Yeah, Fonk.
It's by the
Fong.
Russian
Just
batch.
I found his channel. Just say the most ridiculous thing you could think of, and then I'll really feel the music. You know what? Communism
was pretty tight.
was
Yeah,
pretty
kind of
tight.
Yeah. I love the Russian Badger. He's got a couple other skits and stuff. They're really funny.
Is that
Yeah.
the
Like it
one
as
that
well.
says the states after having a vodka?
Oh, that's Junecraft, and that's not the original video. I'll have to show that one. It's really funny. It's a Russian guy. He goes, I was out taking shots with my friend, and they said, "How do you say this?" And he goes, easy. It's Vyomenge. No, Boris. This is American state. It's Wyoming. The frick? So I took a couple more shots, and the rest of the night was blurred. But I'm here now, and I'm going to pronounce all 50 states of America. Let's do this. He gets Wisconsin right, Wyoming right, and all of that. But it's Ohio. It's Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota. It's funny.
Massachusetts.
Yes. Moving on.
Everything is easier to say with vodka.
Yes. Yes.
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Pippi.
Yes.
That was pretty funny to watch. I like it. All right, guys, we're hitting our timetable right there. We've got 3 minutes to wrap it up. Nice conversation tonight. Anything in final that you want to add, Kay?
Get out there, vote, do your best. You make the significance in your own life, and how you do that properly is to turn to God, because He is the real meaning behind everything, and you can find all your answers there. And that is what you should do. And that is how you get significance in your life the proper way.
Hey, back to that thing.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to wrap up what our conversation's been? What's your final thoughts, man?
Don't get black-pilled, guys. Don't get black-pilled. If they
do me a favor, real quick. Black pill, red pill. Black pill, red pill. What was that?
Well,
That was blue pill, red pill.
Black-pilled is slipping into the depression side of things. It's like
that dark hole you were talking about?
Yeah, it's the dark hole, man. Don't go down the dark hole. If she really was leading in the polls and there was nothing we could do about it, why are they still trying to kill him?
Agreed.
So don't.
I just saw what you just linked right there.
Make sure you get out. Make sure you get out and vote. Grab a buddy that you know didn't vote in the last election. Wisconsin has 338,000 licensed hunters and registered gun owners that did not vote in the last election. All right.
Yeah.
And we lost. We went blue,
and we
by
lost
less
by
than
under 20,000.
20,000. So here's the thing: grab a mofo that you know didn't vote in the last election and take him to the polls and go vote. All right, and then make sure he grabs a buddy that he knows didn't vote in the last election.
Yeah.
Because there's 338,000 of you bubbas.
And you all know each other.
That's what they tell us. And you're registered, by the way. That's how we know that there's that many.
Yeah.
Two things for me, and maybe we can bring this to the next show. But number one, I was wondering if we can talk about all this stuff, the significance of early voting.
Yeah.
The reason being is because I hear it. I hear what is said, but nobody has really given me a real reason for early voting. They say all the things that they do, but when it comes right back down to the problem,
it doesn't change
never
the
answers
problem.
It doesn't really solve the problem at all.
Yeah.
And so forth. So I didn't know if maybe we wanted to go about that. That would be a really good thing.
We did it once before, but we can talk about it again.
Let's talk about it again, because maybe you've got some new information out there. But what I've seen and what I've heard people tell, and the laws that are, at least here in Wisconsin, I don't know what you got out there in Washington, but here in Wisconsin, early voting actually makes, for everything that they say and all the rhetoric, it really doesn't make any difference.
No.
It does
when it's all said and done. And then the other thing that I kind of wanted to throw something at was, man, now all of a sudden my brain went blank. What was it? Oh, the early voting part. And I was wondering
when that happens.
Yeah, I really, really do. Because I'm sitting here going, don't forget.
She left the station.
And even sounds like it. So the early voting, I don't know.
Nothing.
I'll try to remember it the next time, but I know it had something to do with something. But anyway, guys, I appreciate the conversation tonight, and let's keep it up. And will I see you all again next Monday?
Yep, same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, I'll see you guys all here next Monday then. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for thanks for giving me some of your common freaking sense. There, I said the thing.
He said the thing.
He said the thing.
All right, talk to y'all later. Have a good night.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.